Welcome back, Story Explorers. Today, we're diving into a tale you think you know, but with a twist that will blow your circuits. Forget the enchanted forest and talking animals. We're going to the year 2126, to the dazzling, dangerous metropolis of Neon Earth. It rose from the desert like a rebellious thought given steel and circuitry, a place where scientists, dreamers, and the occasional philosophical troublemaker tested the boundaries of what a city could become. Here, skyscrapers didn't just touch the clouds. They pierced them, their surfaces shimmering with ever-changing colors. Technology wasn't just a tool. It was a force of nature, as essential as the air they breathed. Drones zipped through the sky like metallic birds, and the streets pulsed with the glow of neon signs and holographic ads. In the heart of this luminous world lived Snow White, the planet's most adored streamer. Her videos were viral sensations, her fans were a global army, and her home, a towering skyscraper, was nothing short of a modern-day palace. She was young, elegant, and had a look of determination that captivated millions. But her radiant fame cast a long, dark shadow. That shadow was her stepmother. It lingered at the threshold like a half-formed warning, the kind that makes the spine tilt forward in curiosity before the brain remembers that trouble. Often arrives wrapped in familiar silhouettes. A woman with a frozen gaze and a mind as brilliant as it was dangerous. She was the CEO of Mirror, a corporation whose applications had revolutionized the world. Yet, for all her success, one thing remained unchanged: her consuming envy of Snow White's popularity. So she planned, she plotted, and in the cold silence of her lab, she created her masterpiece, the digital red apple. The digital apple wasn't just another app. It promised the most immersive VR experience ever created, a world beyond imagination. Snow White, ever curious and ambitious, couldn't resist. Pulled toward the shimmering gateway of the experimental VR game that promised secret levels, risky thrills. She downloaded it, launched it, and without a hint of suspicion, stepped into the trap. A sudden, blinding flash lit up the virtual skyline, sending pixelated sparks. A whirlwind of light spiraled through the VR city, twisting around neon towers and digital alleys, leaving trails of color that flickered like code come alive. And then reality vanished, dissolving into streams of glowing data, as the boundaries between the player and the virtual world melted into a dazzling, infinite codescape. She found herself in a digital realm of endless skyscrapers and neon streets that twisted into impossible knots. This wasn't the neon Earth she knew. Here, shadows moved with a life of their own. Traps shifted under her feet. Every colorful flash of light concealed a threat, and the city was a sprawling, beautiful, and deadly labyrinth. Her stepmother had done the impossible. She'd trapped Snow White in a virtual prison, a one-way trip with no escape. Unless someone held the secret code, lost in the VR chaos, as loneliness began to press down on her, 7 luminous figures suddenly appeared. 7 tiny robots hovered in formation, each glowing with its own unique light. Their metallic bodies reflecting the neon city around them as they hummed softly in perfect synchronization. They were the guardians of this digital space, a world their creator had corrupted. They were the 7 robot dwarfs. There was Blip, the hacker, his pixelated eyes darting nervously as he deciphered data streams. Sacado, the glitch detective, his digital magnifying lens always searching for clues. Flash, the lightning-fast delivery bot, zipping around with tiny data capsules. Spark, the engineer, his hands transforming into any tool needed for the job. Nano, the comedian, his screen face shifting through emojis as he offered a moment of levity. Combat, the warrior, his shield and laser arm always ready to protect. And finally, Bitsy the DJ, her body pulsing with light as she manipulated the very sound waves of their digital world. Together, they became Snow White's team, her only hope in the sprawling VR city, ready to navigate digital dangers and unravel the code that threatened to trap her forever. The VR universe was structured in levels, each one a vast electronic trial. In one, the city was submerged in icy neon waves, and Snow White had to sprint across cracking platforms that opened into a digital abyss. In another, swarms of aggressive drones formed shifting mazes, blocking every possible exit. In a third, cruel holograms of her stepmother appeared, offering false hope and treacherous shortcuts. With every level, Snow White fell deeper into the digital void. The neon streets twisting into impossible shapes as the VR world tested her courage, wits, and will to escape. But the dwarves were relentless. Each used their unique skills to push forward. Blip found weaknesses in the code. Sacado spotted hidden pathways. Spark repaired damaged bridges of light. They were unlocking small pieces of the puzzle, chipping away at the prison walls. But it wasn't enough. A critical piece was missing. They needed someone on the outside, someone who knew the master code, a hacker capable of bending the VR world's rules and guiding Snow White back to reality before it was too late. Just as hope began to fade in the deepest, most corrupted level of the VR world, a new figure materialized from the neon shadows. It was the prince, not a prince of royal blood, but a prince of cyberspace, the most legendary hacker in all of Neon Earth. He had been tracking Snow White's stepmother for months, determined to expose her dark ambitions. When he discovered Snow White was trapped, he didn't hesitate, diving into the VR network with skilled precision, ready to confront every digital trap and algorithm standing in her way. He jacked in, diving headfirst into the digital labyrinth she had built. The prince understood the architecture of the digital apple, its layers of code and hidden backdoors, giving him the knowledge to navigate its deadly programs and outsmart the system. He knew its secrets, its vulnerabilities, and most importantly, he knew where the master code was hidden, the one key to Snow White's freedom. His arrival changed everything. The game was on. the VR city pulsing with new energy as Snow White's team rallied, ready to face the challenges that lay coded in every shadow and neon-lit corner. The final test was unlike anything they had faced. It was a formless plane of raw energy, a tempest of code and neon storms. This was the central core, and the stepmother had fortified it with every defense imaginable. Towers of firewalls surged towards the digital sky. Swarms of sentry drones patrolled the area, and deceptive images, mimicking the dwarfs, flickered in and out of existence, trying to lead them astray. The final assault was a symphony of skill. Bitsy used her music to create pockets of stability in the chaotic space, giving them solid ground. Spark, shielded by combat, rapidly assembled a device to unlock the final firewall. Blip, protected by the others, frantically deciphered the last few lines of defensive code. And the prince, with his unparalleled knowledge, guided Snow White through the storm, directly to the heart of the system, where the central digital key pulsed with immense power. Snow White reached out and touched the core. For a moment, everything froze. Then the VR universe began to shatter around her, fragments of neon and code fracturing into a chaotic storm. The stepmother's elaborate trap dissolved, burning out like an old wire. Color, light, and code unraveled into nothing. She was back in her room, the VR headset slipping from her face, her heart racing as the hum of the real world replaced the digital chaos, and the faint glow of the city lingered in her memory. Snow White opened her eyes, blinking against the harsh glow of the real world. The echoes of the VR city still flickering behind her eyelids like a fading neon dream. She was free. Back in the real world, the stepmother's empire crumbled. With her crimes exposed, her power vanished overnight. Snow White, now more famous than ever, was no longer just a streamer. She was a symbol of resilience. And the prince was now by her side, not just as a rescuer, but as her ally, her partner, sharing a quiet smile as they planned their next move. Knowing the line between reality and the digital world had forever blurred. Their wedding took place on the rooftop of her skyscraper, under a sky painted with light by a fleet of drones. The 7 robot dwarfs stood proudly by their side, no longer just guardians of a digital realm, but a part of their family. And so a new era began in 2126, an era where humans, AI, and cyber beings learned that together they could create a world brighter than any neon dream. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this futuristic fairy tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the world of tomorrow. See you in the next one.